Hi, welcome to Beyond Pink Ribbons, the podcast. This is your first time here. I'm glad you came. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. Today's episode's a little different. It's not something that I plan to talk about. This is something I'm feeling right now. And moments like these, they matter. There's something that's been sitting with me lately, and I didn't even recognize it at first. It felt unfamiliar, quiet but strong. And then I realized what it was. Confidence. Real confidence. Not the kind that you pretend you have, or the kind you hype yourself up just to get through the day. I'm talking about a steady, grounded, I know who I am kind of confidence. And the truth is, I haven't felt this way in a long time. For years, I second-guessed myself on everything. What I said, what I wore, what I'd look like, what other people thought of me, whether I was doing enough, or if I was even enough. I lived in that space for a long time. And maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about. That place where you're constantly checking yourself, adjusting yourself, shrinking, just to make sure you fit somewhere. And then life happened. Not gently, not slowly. It hit hard. Cancer. And I don't think people understand this part. It's not just the physical part, the doctor's appointments, the surgeries, the treatments. It's what it does to your identity. It strips things away. Your body changes, routines change, your sense of control change. And at some point you'd look at yourself and think, who even am I? I remember being in that place, not recognizing myself, not physically and not internally. And there's a grief in that. People don't always talk about that. Grieving the version of you that used to exist, the version that felt familiar or safe. But here's what I didn't understand at the time. That version of me, she was already surviving, but she wasn't fully living. She was doing what she thought she was supposed to do, being who she thought she was supposed to be, keeping the peace, taking care of everyone else. And now, sitting here today, I see it so differently. And I'm not her anymore. And I don't say that with sadness. I say that with strength. Because the woman I am now, she's different. Grounded. I don't need permission. I don't need approval. I don't need to explain myself the way I used to. And what's really wild is nothing around me is perfect. Life didn't magically get easier. I still have responsibilities, stress. I still have things I'm trying to figure out. But internally, I'm solid. For the first time in years, I feel like I can actually do anything I set my mind to. And I don't mean that in a cliche way. I mean it in a deep, quiet knowing. Like if I decide to build something, I will. If I decide to grow something, I will. If I decide to change something, I can. Because I've already walked through the thing that I thought would break me, and it didn't break me. Cancer didn't just change my body. It changed how I see myself. It forced me to face things that I've avoided. It forced me to sit with myself in a way that I don't think I've ever done before. And somewhere in that process, I stopped abandoning myself. That's really what it comes down to. I stopped leaving myself behind. Before, I would ignore what I felt, push things down, stay in situations longer than I should have, say yes when I really wanted to say no, because honestly, I didn't trust myself. Now, I trust myself, and that changes everything. I trust my voice, my decisions. I trust that even if something doesn't work out, I'll figure it out. And that kind of confidence, you don't learn from a book. You don't wake up one day and just have it. You earn it through the hard things, through the moments that stretch you, that break you open and force you to rebuild. And I think that's why this feels so different. Because this confidence that I'm feeling, it's not fragile. It's not based on what I look like. It's not based on what other people are thinking of me. It's not based on everything is going right. It's built on the fact that I've already survived what felt impossible. And when you really understand that, something shifts. You stop being afraid of starting. You stop being afraid of being seen. You stop being afraid of taking up space. Because honestly, what's the worst thing that could happen? You try and it doesn't work? You've already proven you can handle the hard things. So why not go after the things that really matter to you? Why not build the life you actually want? Why not become the person you've been holding back? That's where I am right now. And I wanted to share this because I know there are people listening who don't feel this way yet. You might still be in that place of doubt, that place of questioning yourself, that place where everything just feels so uncertain. And I want you to hear this. You're not stuck there, even if it feels that way. Confidence isn't something you're missing. It's something you haven't seen in yourself yet. Because it's built slowly, quietly, in the moments where you keep going, in the moments where you choose yourself, where you don't quit. And one day you're going to wake up and you're going to feel it. Not all at once, not in some big dramatic way, but in a quiet, steady knowing. And when you feel it, you'll realize something. You can't go back to who you used to be because you've seen yourself differently now. You've felt your strength. You felt your voice. You felt what it's like to trust yourself. And once you have that, everything will change. So wherever you are right now, keep going. Keep choosing yourself. Keep showing up. Even on the days that it feels so small or hard, because you're building something inside yourself that no one can take away. And when it shows up, when that confidence finally settles in, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Because if I'm being honest, this version of me, the one sitting here feeling this confidence for the first time in years, this confidence didn't show up overnight. It was built in the moments that no one's seen, the days I didn't feel strong, the nights I questioned everything. I was being built when I kept going, even when I didn't feel like I was making progress. And I think that's important to say out loud, because sometimes we look at people and think they just became confident. Like it just clicked one day. But that's not the truth. The truth is, confidence is built in the middle of a mess. It's built when you keep showing up, even when there's no proof that it's going to work. It's built when you choose yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. And I think for me, one of the biggest changes has been this. I don't abandon myself anymore. I don't silence my voice. I don't ignore what I feel. And that doesn't mean it's always easy. There are still moments where it could be easier to go back to who I used to be, to stay quiet, to be small, not to rock the boat. But I can't, because I know better now. And once you know better, you feel it. You feel it when something isn't right. You feel it when you're holding yourself back. You feel it when you're shrinking again. And that feeling, that's not something to ignore. You need to listen to it, because that's you. That's your voice. That's your growth trying to pull you forward. And I think for a long time, I didn't trust that voice. But now, that's the only thing I trust. So if you're listening to this, and there's something inside you right now that's been trying to get your attention, something telling you to move, to change, to speak, to step into something bigger, don't ignore it. This December will be 4 years that I went through my cancer. And I am not the same person I was even then. I feel like I am evolving every single day. If you keep ignoring these feelings or the signs, you're going to miss out. Last year, I talked to my husband about having a podcast. I really didn't think I could do it. I thought I had to have all this equipment and the fancy place and everything just had to be perfect. It doesn't. I have a microphone and my laptop. I didn't have the confidence. And I think I was trying to replace the confidence with all this equipment that I didn't even need. If you keep ignoring things, you're never going to know what you're truly capable of. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to feel completely ready. You don't even have to feel confident. You just have to be willing to take it one step forward. Because that's how it starts. Not with a big moment or with everything lining up perfectly. A decision. A quiet one. A personal one. One where you say, I'm not staying where I am anymore. And you move. But over time, those small steps, they build something. They build strength, clarity, confidence. Until one day, you look at yourself and you realize you became someone you trust. And the truth is, that kind of confidence changes how you move through this world. You don't wake up and suddenly you're fearless. You don't suddenly have everything figured out. But something inside of you becomes steady. And there's a calm that starts to settle. And that calm comes from knowing that you've already faced something that once felt impossible. For me, that was cancer. Cancer forced me to stop pretending that life is guaranteed. It forced me to slow down, ask questions I spent years avoiding. Questions like, what do I actually want from my life? Who am I really trying to be? And those aren't easy questions. I've said to a lot of people in my past that I don't know who Tammy was supposed to be. I had a pretty shitty childhood. And that was followed with many years of abuse and then cancer. But now, at 52 years old, I feel I am now the person I was always meant to be. Most of us stay busy enough that we never have to answer those questions. But when you're sitting in doctor's offices, when you're waiting for test results, when your body is changing in a way you never expected, you don't have the luxury of avoiding those questions anymore. You have to face them. And when you do, something shifts. You start to see things differently. Things you used to be afraid of suddenly feel possible. Because once you've looked your own mortality in the face, a lot of the smaller fears lose their power. I'm not saying life suddenly becomes easier. It doesn't. But you start to understand something that most people don't think about until much later in life. You realize that your time is limited. And when you really understand that, you stop wasting it in the same ways. You stop waiting for permission, waiting for the perfect moment to do something. You stop waiting until you feel completely ready, because you realize something important, and that moment may never come. So instead of waiting, start living. Start speaking up. Start trying things you might have talked yourself out of before. And sometimes those steps are small, quiet. Sometimes they're things no one else will even notice. But inside you, they're huge. Because every time you take one of those steps, you're reinforcing something. You're proving to yourself that you're capable. You're proving to yourself that you can trust your own instincts. And that trust builds. It builds slowly, one decision at a time, one step at a time, until one day you realize you're no longer living the way you used to. You're no longer shrinking. You're no longer asking yourself if you're allowed to take up the space that you're taking up. You just do. And that's where real confidence lives. Not in perfection, not in having every answer, not in knowing that you can handle whatever comes next. The reality of that is you may not be able to. But it allows you to show up differently, to pursue the things that really matter to you, to build something meaningful with the time you have left. And for me, that's exactly what this season of my life feels like. It feels like stepping into the version of myself that was always there, but I hadn't fully allowed to exist yet. And I'm so grateful for that. Grateful for the lessons. Grateful for the perspective. I'm definitely grateful for the hard moments that forced me to grow. Because without those moments, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be this version of me. I feel stronger, clearer. I'm more honest with myself. And I'm not afraid to keep evolving. I don't know what's next for me. I've written 3 books, the podcast, this walk I'm working on. I'm a leader for Personal Inc. in 2 different states. My group, Boobless Baddies of Georgia. I'm not afraid to figure out what's next. I'm just letting life take me there. And if you're listening to this today, and you're in the middle of your own hard season, or you're still searching for that confidence, I want you to remember something. Growth rarely feels comfortable when it's happening. It feels confusing. There's a lot of uncertainty. But that doesn't mean that nothing is changing. Sometimes the most powerful transformations happen quietly. They happen underneath the surface. They happen while you're simply doing the best you can. And then one day you look up and you realize you're not the same person you were before. And that is a beautiful thing. So wherever you are right now, keep going, keep learning, keep becoming. Because the person you're growing into might be stronger than you've ever imagined. And one day, you're going to look back at this version of yourself, the one who kept going even when it was hard. And you're going to be incredibly proud of yourself. And that's a powerful place to be. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll see you next time.